Hey, CGX fans, welcome back. We are so very close to being finished with this project, the Rolife Arcade Dating booknook. I only have a couple of steps left to go. Um, so, let's do it. Let's get it done. So, at the end of the previous episode, if you'll recall, I was kind of obsessing over the joint here in the skylight. This seam right along here was not fitting tightly together, and it was really bugging me. I finally decided off camera to try gluing it. Um, I tried my old buddy Elmer first, and it wasn't up to the job. It didn't have the strength. It wouldn't hold. So I tried some Gorilla Glue, which, if you don't know it, it's a acrylate, however you say it, similar to super glue or crazy glue. And I just put some on a toothpick and laid into the crack here and held it. And it closed up pretty well, and it bonded this front piece to it as well. But naturally, it wasn't without problems. It's not focusing in very well, but if you'll notice, it fogged my skylight here a little bit. That was very frustrating because I had been very careful not to get any on the plastic material, knowing that it would probably do that. And I thought I had pulled it off, but evidently some of it oozed down through the crack, or maybe it was even just the fumes. I don't know. But it screwed up the transparency. There's a little bit on this side as well, but it's not quite as bad. I don't think that's showing up on the video, but trust me, it's there, and it's bugging me. But, once this is on the shelf, you're not really going to be looking into the skylight. And I do have some trim pieces that will go here that will probably distract away from it. And as my wife says, this is supposed to be an old building somewhere in France, so the glass is going to be, kind of dodgy, naturally. So, there are basically two steps remaining. One is to put these trim pieces I mentioned up here, and they're basically a sort of a decorative railing. And the other is the big deal, which is wiring together the LED kit and figuring out how this switch is supposed to work, since it is literally just a sticker on a piece of wood. The instructions say to put the trim pieces in first, but I'm thinking I'm going to tackle the wiring first, because I don't want to risk breaking these little railings while I'm moving the box around, doing what I got to do for the lights. So, wish me luck. Okay, unlike the LED kit that I used on the nativity scene in one of our previous videos, the LED wiring on this does not include that shrink wrap tubing. Excuse me. The instructions basically call for me to directly wrap the wires and then to put some of these adhesive tape strips around the joint, and hopefully that'll be good. So we've got 3 LEDs inside the box, 3 wire bundles, and seems simple enough. Red goes to red, black to black. So let's get to it. I'm going to separate the wires a little bit, give us room to work with. I hope this is turning up okay on the video. Sometimes I think this would be easier if I had a camera person helping me out. But then I'd probably have to pay somebody, and that would lose the whole amateur DIY quality I'm going for. Okay, let's try the black first. pulling this little bit of insulation off the end. Just lay them together and start braiding. I always feel like I'm at a disadvantage doing this sort of thing because I've got large hands and fat fingers. So it just feels awkward. Yeah, see, that braid didn't hold at all. Came right off as soon as I moved something. So we'll try that again. Here's another concern of mine is these wires are all just going to end up going every which way, I fear. That won't be very elegant at all. Somebody who does this all the time would probably know exactly how to lay all this stuff out so that it doesn't make a mess. Alright, there's the three blacks bound together. Now we need to do the same for the reds. Let's see here. Maybe help if I pull them down some more, get some more slack. Maybe it won't. This would be one of the times when I'm very conscious of not knowing what I am doing. Is that picking up on camera? Maybe. Hopefully. If you can't see, trust me, I am doing something here. Well, I'm attempting to anyway. That's what I was afraid of. I've created a bit of a mess. I think this thing is going to end up being part of the switch. last wire just is not cooperating. Try it again. You know, I'm gonna, well, I'm going to unbraid this and see if I can organize these a little better. I probably should do that with the black too. I hate to go back to stage one here, but fortunately these things are barely holding on as it is, so it's not that difficult to unwind them. Yeah, just like that. All right. So this thing is going to end up attached up here at the front, like so. I need a little more wire slack to get out there. So these are the wires coming off of that. As usual with this project, it sometimes feels like there's certain things you ought to do different steps than the way they got it outlined here. Do it in a different order is what I'm trying to say. Alright, I think this might be a little more organized. So we'll try the braiding again. Is this showing up on camera at all? Hope so. Damn it. You know, I think I'm going to jump a step and attach this circuit board to the board out here to help me keep things straight. So that uses one of our final little bits here, B15. At least it's supposed to. Obviously, I'm being very careful here because I don't want to break the circuit board. I don't think Elmer's will put that back together. And I just broke it. But it'll at least hold this circuit board there while I mess with the wiring. And then fortunately I have another number 15. Probably for this exact reason. I imagine I'm not the first to break this. Alright. Red. That's pretty awful. I would much rather have some of that shrink tubing. Or I might just go get some regular electrical tape. Maybe I'll do that. Alright, I hope you'll forgive me for jumping ahead a little bit, but I was worried that you couldn't really see what the heck I was doing on camera from the tripod shot anyway. So I've now wired the ends together and got that little circuit board installed. Fortunately, I had a spare part B15, like I mentioned. It doesn't feel like a great setup to me. So you've got the board here, and I guess pressure on this point somehow is detected by the board to turn on the lamps. We'll see if it works. I'm a little dubious. I've also used my last couple of tape strips to secure the wiring up here. It doesn't look the way it does in the instructions, but I figured it'll keep it out of the way. Now for the battery, this strange little construction here rotates like so. You pull out this compartment. There's your battery box. There's a switch, it appears. So I'll need to unscrew that and put in some batteries. And we'll see if we can get some light. So once again, wish me luck. Alright, batteries inserted. It just takes a couple of ordinary AAAs, so nothing exotic. And I, just for myself, drew a couple of marks on the battery case and the floor, so that I can tell which direction this housing is supposed to go back in, so I don't get it twisted upside down, and because I would be prone to do that without a little assistance. Um, I really hate this locking thing. It feels, I don't know, loose, prone to falling out. Hopefully it doesn't cause a problem over time. So let's see if this thing works. Here we go. Hey, look at that. Welcome to a Paris arcade. I'm actually really tickled with that. I honestly didn't think it would work, and as the old space hero says, sometimes I amaze even myself. All right, I'll remount the phone to the tripod, and we'll do the last little finishing touches, and we'll be done. All right. All right, the last couple of steps are just to put this railing around the top. Because it's exposed, I'm going to color in the tops of it, make it look a little nicer. Okay, this isn't going to be perfect because I can't get down inside there. Well, maybe the fine tip will go. We'll try that. Yeah, kind of. Better than nothing, maybe. Try not to get in too big a hurry and make a mess of things. Alright, I'll just do that to these other pieces real quickly, and then we'll get moving. Alright. Alright, and here we go. The final piece is this clear dust cover that slides down in the front. Once again, there's one of those clear layers on it, I believe. Ah, there's one on both sides. That makes it even more complicated. Don't you know what, the very last one is being stubborn. There it goes at last. Get all my stupid fingerprints off it. There we are. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the Rolife Arcade Dating Book Nook. My very first. Turned out pretty well, I think. I have a couple of complaints, a couple of mistakes that I made. There is the fogged skylights. A couple of pieces that I just got on there a little crooked. But generally speaking, I'm pretty pleased. My first book nook. And I'm thinking it probably won't be my last, because for the most part I quite enjoyed this project. And I'm curious now to see what the other manufacturers are like. If they use the same types of parts and adhesive strips, or if they maybe each have their own quirks and specific aspects. There's the pile of empty frames. These frames have a couple of pieces left on them that I didn't use. I'm guessing they were just meant to be spares. And I've got some spare parts in here. Always makes me a little nervous when I've got spares left after a project. It's like, what did I forget? What did I leave out? But in this case, I think I'm all right. Just a couple of final thoughts on this project. First of all, I really enjoyed doing this, and I hope that you folks out there watching have enjoyed watching the videos. I know they're not the most dynamic or exciting videos. Along with the projects themselves, that's something else I'm learning how to do. And at this point, my equipment is fairly primitive. I've got a smartphone and a tripod. I've been thinking all the way along, for a project like this, I probably ought to have a 2-camera setup, and I know I need to have a lav mic. I'm working on those, on getting those. Hopefully in future videos, I'll have a little better equipment, and I'll be able to do something a little more dynamic. But in the meantime, hopefully you enjoyed the kind of the amateur DIY aspect of what I'm doing here. As to the kit itself, for the most part, I thought it went very well. I was impressed with how solidly most of the pieces go together. I mean, it feels like a good, solid construction for the most part. Some of the smaller pieces are delicate. I broke a couple of things. That was frustrating. But I think I managed to find fixes for that. Or they were ultimately things that nobody's going to notice. There are some strange little hinky aspects to the design. I'm thinking that that key-shaped thing on the bottom of the battery case that you use to pull the case out keeps falling out on me. I'm thinking I may glue that in permanently. That whole design there with the thing that rotates and the key to pull the box down, that just feels weird to me. If I had designed this kit, I would have done something differently. I was frustrated with those adhesive dots that got stuck to everything else before I could use them. Ultimately, it ended up not being a problem, but it could have been. The instructions were pretty good once I kind of caught on to the visual language of them, since there's not much in the way of text. It's all visual. Um, I will say I found them less confusing than your average IKEA instruction book. I don't know what it is about IKEA stuff, but I struggle with that a lot. Um, your bottom line, would I buy another Rolife kit? Yes, absolutely, I would. I feel like I've learned a few things, and maybe a future Rolife project would go more smoothly. Like I said a moment ago, I'm curious now. I'd like to try some booknooks from the other manufacturers. Anavrin has several that are pretty cool. They're just looking at the ads, they appear to be more elaborate than this one. Um, and now that I've done one, perhaps something more challenging would be interesting. Maybe I'm ready for that. So we'll see. Um, don't worry if you haven't found this interesting. This is not going to turn into the all Book Nook channel. Although if I do try another kit, I will do videos of that as well. Um, I do have another project already in mind. So, as ever, leave your comments. Give me some of your thoughts. Like and subscribe, and come back next time when we'll have an all new project to do. So until then, ciao.